All right, welcome back to the reentry room. This is the space, the podcast where we stop pretending that working motherhood has to be a certain way and we actually start speaking the truth about what it really feels like and how we can do something about it. I'm Alexa Starks. You guys know me. I'm an award winning workplace culture innovator, speaker, mom of two toddlers, founder of Executive Moms, and I help working moms navigate the biggest transition of their lives and careers and all about that. So, today is a very special episode. It is our first official video and guest interview episode. And today I have with me Kelly Cox. She is the founder of Share the Drop, which connects women with extra breast milk supply and those who are in need of breast milk in your area. And this is such a phenomenal service. Welcome, Kelly. I'm so happy to have you join us and honored that you are our first interview guestie.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, super excited. It's previously just been me solo episodes for a while and like, you know what? I think it's time to kind of open things up. So I would love if you could just share a little bit about yourself, your journey, what you do, what got you to starting Share the Drop.
Yeah, I am a pre and postnatal yoga teacher. I also travel around to train other women how to teach. I'm a birth doula, a former mental health therapist, and a breast cancer survivor. So all of those kind of wrapped together led me to Share the Drop. I owned and operated a pre and postnatal yoga studio for a decade. We had to close during COVID. And so we did yoga, but a lot of support groups. And we had a lactation consultant come to us maybe year two in and said, I want to run a free lactation support group every week for free to the community. And so we did that for 8 years and it was packed. So as a doula and someone who interfaced with pregnant women, I was always kind of thinking about how their bodies were feeling, how I could help with that, how I could help them plan for birth. But I never took it too far off the what's going to happen later. And so when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, women flocked to me and were like, hey, can you help me get breast milk when I need it? I was like, absolutely. And then I found myself always talking to women. They would approach me and say, I have so much breast milk, I don't know what to do with it. Others were looking for it. And so I was sending them out into like the ether of Facebook and the millions of different groups that are on there to help people connect and share milk. And it was so clunky and so time consuming. And so I just came up with this idea to, well, first of all, I was doing like a lot of like local milk slinging, if you will, in my community. And I'm just one woman. It was a lot of work. So I thought, well, how could I make this easier? And so Share the Drop is a web app. Don't go look for it on the mobile platforms. It's a web app. You can download it to your phone, but you get in time real notifications when someone wants to match with you, when someone wants to ask you questions. So you're not constantly going and scrolling and looking through post after post.
That's amazing. I love that. I mean, I breastfed both my children, but when I had my daughter, I thought I had a much less supply and was trying to pump extra and like boost my supply, but I didn't even know that an app like this really existed. I mean, this was like I'd heard of donor breast milk, but it wasn't a concept that knew enough resources were available.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to, in your postpartum exhaustion and all that, have the wherewithal to be like, let me look up if there's breast milk supply nearby. Like,
Yeah.
you don't think about that.
No, you don't even really think much about how you're going to feed you. I mean, I think most women are like, oh, I have breasts. The whole reason I have breasts is to breastfeed. I'm just gonna do that. And then if you've never done it before, you have no idea. For someone,
Hmm.
very, very easy. For others, it's quite challenging for a lot of reasons. But yeah, we planned so much about getting the baby out, keeping the baby in, getting the baby out, and then we're like, oh, I'll just do this natural thing. And we need to
Hmm.
really start, I think, planning before babies arrive.
Absolutely. And this is really helpful for women who are going back to work because a lot of times if you're in an office, you may not want to pump or you may not be able to pump if you're in like a service job or something and you don't have the time to be pumping every 2 hours to create a supply to bring home to your baby. And so you end up being forced sooner than you'd like into formula most of the time. So this is like a third option.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it should be a third option. We just talk about breastfeeding and formula, which are fantastic. If you can breastfeed, great.
Hmm.
That works for you, great. But why isn't donor milk more of an option? You know, when we launched, it was the summer of 2022 when we had that infant
Hmm.
formula recall, and it was
Yeah.
just in my community, I was getting inundated with pictures of like, hey, I need this formula. Can you put it up on
Mhm.
Instagram? And I would do that. And then I was driving around all the counties, picking up formula from random strangers' houses, getting it to someone else. And like, there has to be a better way. And so that also is where Share the Drop comes in of like, it's already set up. Go create an account. It takes a few minutes. It's all hyper local so that you can meet people in
Mm.
your own community, get milk quickly, but also meet other parents and build like little armies of parental support.
Armies of support. I love that phrase. I might have to take that and use that somewhere. Armies of support. What a great phrase. I just had like a mom brain fart moment. I was gonna say something really good.
Yeah.
um, I know before we go into the meat of our actual episode, I just want to touch on how much this costs because I know formula is very expensive. But
Yes.
how much does it cost to buy donor breast milk?
So you don't ever buy donor breast milk. If anyone's asking you to buy it,
Mm.
kind of where safety issues come in. People can sell you anything. They can water down breast milk. It's not good. So donors are never paid on our app. They never pay to use it. Recipients, those who are looking for milk, can create an account for free, and they can see because it's based on zip code. They see who's in their area, and once they
Mhm.
find donors they want to match with and message with, it's 19.99 a month, and then I waive that fee always if they're WIC or SNAP eligible.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Okay. Because that's so huge. It's almost like the better option, especially if you're on WIC or SNAP. It's like if you can get access to this, if you can find this podcast, find this resource, find Kelly and share the drop, it's a better and often cheaper option
Oh
than
yeah,
formula.
formula is wildly expensive, and so families are
Mm-hmm.
struggling right now, and so I imagine those costs are only going to go up. Hopefully we don't have another recall situation, but
Mm-hmm.
this is where I need to get the word out, not only to those looking for milk, but we also need donors because um, I have so many people who are WIC and SNAP beneficiaries who are on here. They're not paying for the app, of course, but we need donors to fill that need. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are listening, if you have enough milk here and there to help a neighbor, this is where Share the Drop comes in. And it only works if we have both sides of the market, right?
Yes, absolutely. We need to get you in front of every like lactation consultant, doula, midwife, OBGYN, everywhere that there are birthing mothers who may be lactating and have an oversupply, which is very
Yes.
common.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, so as part of our new guest interview episode experience, this is all about one of two different topics either a confession share, where we talk about a confession, or a what she knows, where you share one of your best tips, secrets, something that you know. So, are we going with a confession share today or what she knows?
Confession share.
Ooh, all righty. So, we're going to talk about a truth that we never say out loud. So, what is your confession?
As a birth doula, I vehemently am passionate about the beauty that is labor.
Mhm.
As someone who has never wanted a child, never been through labor, I will tell you, every time I attend a birth, there is one part of that where, in my head, it never comes out loud. I think, why in the world is she doing this?
Okay, wait, which part of it? Which part of the birth is it?
The laboring, right? Just
Uh-huh.
getting through the contractions, the dealing with that. Not so much the pushing. I think that tends to be a little more just like physiological. How are we going to get the baby out? But seeing women, I mean, I always talk to doula clients about like if you've never had your cervix dilate, you don't know what you're in for, and the women who really struggle are really struggling, and I'm like, why? Why would anyone do this? I of course get it. It's beautiful. It's like to me, I'm kind of over like how the baby turns and the physiological
Mhm.
aspects of it. It's more there's not a baby coming. There's a whole other person that's going to join this family, and it's a very sweet, intimate thing. People do one, two, three times in life, and I get to witness that.
Mhm.
But the physical aspect of it, I'm just like, no, no, thank you.
That's so funny. Okay, so it's not necessarily like a grossed out thing, right? Like
Mm-mm. No, it's
okay.
like wow. I mean, it's called labor because it's so much work.
Yeah.
And then, some women are like, oh, contractions were a breeze. And I, maybe had some back rubbing. Others are like, give me the epidural now. And I always say there's a difference between pain and suffering. And once
Hmm.
you get to that point where you're suffering, you do want to be present as much as you can. But also, here's my thing. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, Alexa, I have a root canal tomorrow. I'm gonna go all natural. I'm gonna use my yoga mat. And, someone can squeeze my hips." Like, no. But birth is the only time when we're like, "Oh, you can just do it on your own." Um, and yeah, when I see the women just like they're getting through it and then they're exhausted. The other thing about labor is sometimes you might start labor really like late into the afternoon, not sleep.
Hmm.
Well. You go in, the next day it's kind of ramping up. Sometimes you're awake for 24 hours or more. And like, let's get you an epidural and get some relief. But when they're at that point of like, I have to get some help, in my head, I'm like, yes. I'm like, why are you
This
doing?
is so funny because I did both my babies I had naturally, right? I had my daughter, I had her my second at home in a water birth. And my first I had him at the hospital, but that was because he was my first. I was nervous, but it was still natural. And the whole time the nurses would come in like, "Sure you don't want an epidural now? You sure you don't want an epidural now?"
Yeah,
And that saying like I wanted to do both of them naturally. But it was very much like a challenge to myself of like I want to do this,
yeah,
but every time I've had a cavity, I'm like, can you give me extra numbing stuff and then
yeah,
extra like extra numbing cream before you even put the shot, and then
yes,
extra numb like lidocaine or whatever in the shot, and
right.
then the last time I had a cavity filled, they actually had like the gas, and
Oh
I
yeah,
was like, oh, I'm sure this isn't really going to do anything, and I was like high as a kite, like fuzzy, happy, blissful the whole time. I was just like giggling to myself while they're like drilling holes in my teeth. And it was phenomenal. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But I still love that I gave birth naturally and I wouldn't have done it another way. But
yeah,
like other pain, I'm just like, no, no,
yeah.
none of that.
None of that.
That's really funny.
I
I
mean,
love it.
I've been teaching prenatal yoga for 17 plus years.
Hmm.
And I mean, I love a pregnant woman. I love pregnant body. I love being in community with them. But they're, as they're like checking in, like my back hurts or I've got pubic symphysis disorder. And like, it feels like
Oh.
someone jabbing me in the crotch with a knife. And
Hmm.
yeah, y'all are not selling this to me. Like, this is, it just, people are always like, oh, what made you decide you didn't want kids? And I always say, well, what made you decide? And it's usually like this, well, why would you ask that? I just knew. I'm like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
same. Like, I just knew that I was going to be a mother in a different
Yeah.
way. And so when the 40 weekers walk in and they're just like everything hurts and they're swollen, I'm like, oh, I would never do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had bad SPD pain with my second because I had my kids so close together back to back. I got pregnant 6 months postpartum. And so I
Mm.
had bad SPD pain with my second. And yeah, I mean, every now and then, like last night, I was scrolling through Instagram and saw this really cute video of these two like twins cuddling in bed. And I was like, "Ooh, my ovaries, that makes me want to have a second, like a third kid, a third one." And I talked to my husband and he was like, "No, we're good at two, Alexa." And he's like, has to keep reminding me sometimes because I'll forget
Yeah.
also how much of a struggle it was at the end of pregnancy when I was exhausted and had bad SPD pain and I was like ready to go. And every day I was like eating my dates, drinking my red raspberry leaf tea, doing my squats and walking and
Karen.
curb walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
I was like, get you out of me. Like by any means necessary. I was like ready to go. And thankfully both my kids were at 39 weeks. And but it was like a rough last few weeks.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's always funny. But it's worth it. Like to me, it's a worthwhile pain.
yes. And every time, I just finished my 75th birth. I've been the doula for almost all of my best friends. It is a very community kind of sense of community for me. But and I'm attached to them and I love their babies. But yeah, I'm like, I don't. That looked horrible. The whole thing. Beautiful. Like, oh, I love the placenta. I love all of it.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, yeah, I'm like, okay, I was not. I can be the support, but thankfully, I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
But it's so good that you know this about yourself. Like that's key. A lot of women don't know it until it's too late and they're already a mom and they're like, this sucked. I never want to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just took, had some best friends. I officiated their wedding 10 years ago, and I've been there when both their babies were born. And so I know these kids, and they call me Uncle Kelly, which is a long story. But the parents went away for their 10-year anniversary, and I stepped in and I took care of the whole thing, the house and the kids and the piano lessons and 2 soccer games and all this stuff. And I remember thinking, how do any parents get anything done? And of course their parents have had, 10 and 8 years into this, so they know, but I was just blown away by the amount of on like you have to be on it all the time, which of course, but for someone who'd never done it for that many days in a row, it was hard.
Yeah, it is. There is that whole, I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole of like doing it all, but it is a lot.
Yeah.
All right. I thank you for sharing your confession. That was a wonderful confession. I love it. And very unexpected. Okay, let's go back to sort of share the drop and what you do. Can we close out? Can you tell us like 1 or 2 tips or tools or piece of advice that you would share with listeners, probably moms, but any listener, about what you would talk about? What piece of advice can you give?
Always, so when you're pregnant, we spend so much time planning for delivery. How's the baby going to come out? Plan for your postpartum. What do you need? You don't need all the onesies and all the fancy stuff. Like you need people coming over and cleaning your house or walking your dogs or having play dates with your toddler. You need actual support, lactation support. So know all of these things before. But if you are bringing home a baby that you have to feed, plan how you're going to do that. Research it. If breastfeeding is really important to you, find out if your local hospitals have a breastfeeding class. Take it. If there's a local yoga studio who has a lactation support group, sit in on that group while you're still pregnant. Like, get as much knowledge beforehand so that you don't, day 4 when your milk comes in, you're not doom scrolling the internet and seeing if this or that is normal. Like, have those pieces of information and education already in your mind. And if your partner can go to a breastfeeding class or a breastfeeding group with you, great. Like the more support around breastfeeding, the better. If you know you're interested in formula, do your research. Which brand do you want? What ingredients are there? What makes the most sense to you? But those first days of having a baby at home are hard, and you're sleep deprived. And so the more knowledge you have beforehand, the better you're setting yourself up for success.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. That's so important because those first few days postpartum are rough.
Yeah.
And it is hard when you're exhausted and trying to figure out breastfeeding at the same time and your baby's trying to figure out breastfeeding and you're just sitting there crying like, why do I feel like I'm failing? And
Yes.
so we have to prepare because very often we just think it's going to be natural. It's going to come naturally, intuitively, and it doesn't. So yeah, prepare.
Yep. For everything in life.
Yeah.
And then as a parent, like make your best laid plans. Like I work with my clients on a birth plan. I had a client years ago that presented me with her laminated birth plan. I was like, so all the planning you do about birth or feeding or whatever, you also have it's like yoga. Like you try something, you fall out, take another breath, get back in, right? You have to be willing to like give up the plan and just start again.
Yep. I love it. And that applies to so many things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. All right, Kelly. Well, thank you so much. Where can we find you and find the app, Share the Drop?
Sharethedrop.com. You can create an account right there. I'm at Share the Drop on all social media platforms. Anyone at any point can reach out to me. It's Kelly at sharethedrop.com. I've got pretty thick skin. I'm open to feedback or ideas, and I love talking about this.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. And we will link to your website in the description below. So if you are interested, you can find it in the description. Thank you so much for joining us on the reentry room. And if this episode hit home, please share it with another mom who needs to hear it. If you're in your first year back at work or thinking about leaving corporate or struggling with postpartum and motherhood identity shift, I'd love to help you. And I'll put the link to book a call with me in the description as well. We will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.